a traditional Japanese Rakugo comic storyteller, and my name is Katsura Sunshine. Today we have a short Rakugo story about Rakugo. Hello, Jinbei-san. Are you home? Hello, Jinbei-san. Oh, I was wondering who it was. It's you, Bobby-kun. Come on in. Come on in. Jinbei-san, I've been starting to get interested in traditional Japanese comedy. Do you know Rakugo? Ah, you've discovered Rakugo, have you? The 400-year-old tradition of Japanese comic storytelling. The stories have been passed down from master to apprentice, master to apprentice, master to apprentice, through the ages up until the present day. Only the most cultured and highly intelligent people become Rakugo storytellers, or Rakugoka. Really? That is not the impression I got. I was wondering, Jinbei-san, is it possible for me to become a Rakugo storyteller? Sure, but it's not easy. You have to do shugyo. Shugyo? Shugyo is the Japanese word for apprenticeship. Apprenticeship? You have to do an apprenticeship in order to become a comedian? What is the apprenticeship like? Well, first you have to find a master who is willing to take you. Oh, you choose a master. Yes, and if the master that you chooses to take you, that is probably the last thing you freely choose for yourself for the next 3 years. Really? Yes. Really? Yes. Really? Yes. But what if it doesn't work out? Can't you just go and find another master? Not really. It is not that simple. Perhaps if you were expelled from the family, you might find another master to take you. But if you quit of your own volition, then you are quitting Rakugo for good. Wow, Jinbei-san, that sounds extremely serious for a comic art form. Yes, Rakugo is full of very funny people who take the art of comic storytelling very seriously. Fortunately, most of them do not take themselves too seriously. How do people choose a master? Well, now that is a very interesting question. Some people do Rakugo as a hobby or at university as a part of a kind of a club called Ochiken, which is the Rakugo club they have at many universities. So they tend to know a lot about Rakugo going in, and they choose a master who they respect or like or want to learn from. On the other hand, some people meet a master without knowing anything about Rakugo at all and become so impressed with this master that they become Rakugo storytellers, having just been inspired by the master himself or herself. One Rakugoka I know put it this way: I fell in love with my master, and so I decided to join my master's family. If my master had been a carpenter, I would have become a carpenter. If he had been a chef, I would have become a chef. But my master was a Rakugo storyteller, so without even knowing anything about Rakugo, I became a Rakugo storyteller myself. I just wanted to be my master's apprentice. The figure of my master was primary, and what he was doing was almost secondary. Wow, Jinbei-san, so that's how the apprenticeship begins. Has anybody who is not Japanese ever become a professional Rakugo storyteller or Rakugoka? Yes, the first was about 100 years ago. Henry Black, who came from Australia and became the first ever Western Rakugo storyteller. His name was Kairakute Buraku once he became a Rakugo storyteller himself. The second is Katsura Sunshine. Ah, yes, Jinbei-san, I have heard of Katsura Sunshine. I heard he is not so funny. What? Who told you that? Katsura Sunshine is very, very funny. Extremely funny. Exceedingly funny. He is also kind of a genius and a pioneer of an ambassador. Jinbei-san, I think your opinion is a little bit too sunny. Huh? Don't you think genius is going a bit far? Maybe he's a bit bright. Very high-level joke. It sounds like a joke that Sunshine might make himself. Jinbei-san, enough about Katsura Sunshine. What happens during the apprenticeship? Well, it lasts 3 years, not one day off. You go to the master's house first thing every morning and do the laundry, cleaning, menial chores, fold kimonos, maybe cook breakfast. There's strict rules: no drinking, no smoking, no going on dates. You don't go home at night until the master says you can go home. It's kind of like a sort of indentured servitude. Wow, Jinbei-san, that sounds grueling, huh? Cleaning and laundry every day? Every morning? First thing in the morning? I think I would fold. Very high-level joke. You have to do all that to learn Rakugo? Yes. Well, you are with the master every waking minute of your life for 3 years, so you end up learning a tremendous amount. Are there Rakugo classes during the day? No real classes per se. The master does not spend very much time directly teaching the apprentices. There is a saying in Japan that summarizes this, encapsulates this perfectly. We say, "Ge o nusumu," steal the art. You watch and learn for yourself. You steal the art from your master. No classes. Steal the art. Certainly doesn't sound very classy. Very high-level joke. Steal the art, as I said, means watch and learn. 99% of your apprenticeship is spent watching and learning, watching and learning, watching and learning, stealing the art. Wow, Jinbei-san, so Rakugo is not just an art form. It's a kind of a life or lifestyle. Exactly. But more important than learning Rakugo during the apprenticeship, per se, you have to learn to almost read the mind of the master. To be able to do things that he needs you or wants you to do before he even expresses it, before he even asks you to do them, before he even puts it into words. After a few months, you should be able to tell, just by the atmosphere of the room, whether he wants a cup of tea or needs a book packed into his bag, or needs an extra set of clothing packed, or needs a cup of coffee and how exactly to make it, or needs a dehumidifier for a particularly dry hotel room or dressing room. Wow, you learned to read the master's mind. Jinbei-san, that sounds intense. Yes, there's another saying in Japanese, kuki o yomu. You could translate it as read the wind or read the atmosphere. Haha, Jinbei-san, I would translate that as guess. Ha ha, well, you're partially right. Sometimes you do have to guess, and let's hope you guess right. Jinbei-san, what does all this have to do with Rakugo? Well, it is said that if you spend 3 years learning to read the wind, read the atmosphere, read the mind and the heart of just one person, one single person, your master, then this should prepare you well to be able to read the atmosphere of the audience on stage when you are performing for them, to give them the best performance possible each and every time, no matter how different the audience may be. Wow, reading the atmosphere of the audience, that's fascinating, Jinbei-san. You know, I just thought they were just up there talking and performing and telling funny stories. Yes, many people say that Rakugo is a talking art, but this is not necessarily true. I prefer to think of Rakugo as a listening art and a watching art. That is more accurate to what the Rakugo storyteller does each and every time he or she performs on stage. Listening and watching. Hey, what do you mean by that, Jinbei-san? Well, anyone can memorize a story and recite it, but the Rakugoka has to be constantly watching and listening to his audience as he is speaking, observing them. Are they a younger audience? Are they an older audience? Do they seem to like wordplay and puns? Do they seem to be seeing Rakugo for the first time? Do they seem to be seasoned Rakugo viewers, on the other hand? Are they concentrating? Are they taking it all in? Are they hanging on every word? Or are they distracted? Wow, Jinbei-san, so you're saying that Rakugo is a very suspicious art form. Suspicious? Why suspicious? Well, if not suspicious, at least questionable. Very high-level joke. So Jinbei-san, are you trying to tell me that when you become a Rakugoka and you start your apprenticeship, then you spend 3 years doing laundry and cleaning the house and never doing any Rakugo? No, actually, quite the opposite. Your master gives you a name right at the beginning of the apprenticeship and an opportunity to perform in his concerts or shows as soon as you learn even one story. Wow, I thought you would get a name upon graduation from the apprenticeship or something. Yes, that is what a lot of people think, but this is not the case. You get a name right at the beginning of the apprenticeship, in the first month or two. In a sense, you get your license to become a Rakugo storyteller and to tell stories, to call yourself a professional, before you even know how to tell a story or fold a kimono or anything. It's like giving you a driver's license and they're saying, okay, go. Time to start working on your driving skills. You better learn to drive since I've given you the lessons already. This name you receive from the master consists of the master's Rakugo family name, as well as usually one of the kanji characters of his own name, so that you can be immediately associated with his Rakugo family. What's in a name? Katsura Sunshine was accepted as the 15th apprentice to the great Rakugo master Katsura Sanshi in the year 2008. He received a name from his master in a very traditional way. Katsura Sanshi's Rakugo family name, passed down through hundreds of years, is Katsura. Then, like the apprentices that came before him, Sunshine received one kanji character of his master's given name, San. Then, the master gave Sunshine his one individual kanji character, the Japanese word for shine, usually pronounced ki or teru in Japanese. However, the master also adapted this name in the way that many Japanese parents even adapt the readings of the kanji characters when naming their children, giving the kanji a non-traditional or original reading. He took the English pronunciation of the meaning of the kanji shine, and voila! The Rakugo storyteller we know as Katsura Sunshine was born. And the world became a better place for it. Jinbei-san, I understand about the name, but did you say that the Rakugo storyteller also has a chance to perform, even while still under the apprenticeship? Yes, quite often the apprentices under apprenticeship, no matter how recently they have started, will be the top batters, the top performers, top of the batting order for their master's shows or the shows of their seniors. Top batter, eh? Huh? I'm starting to catch what you were saying. They're trying to make it a hit show. The audience has a ball. Are you going to stop me, Jinbei-san? Very high-level jokes. I was waiting for you to strike out. This is a very rare aspect to the apprenticeship of Rakugo storytellers. I don't think you see it in any other art form. Can you imagine a professional violinist asking the audience to listen to their student at Carnegie Hall play Mary Had a Little Lamb at the beginning of the concert? Wow, but it must be very hard to be funny when you're just starting. Hard. Ha! Nearly impossible. But also, Bobby-kun, not expected. Not expected. Not expected. Not expected. What do you mean by that, Jinbei-san? The Rakugoka at the beginning of the show, that top batter, the one in apprenticeship, is called a zenza, which means sitting before in Japanese kanji characters. Just means the top batter. The responsibility of the zenza is to set the pace of the show, to set up a little bit of an atmosphere of excitement with a fast-paced, straight, and short delivery right at the top of the show. People are not expecting to laugh. The audience will often say, there is the new apprentice. Wow, we are looking forward to his development. In a way, every Rakugoka, every Rakugo storyteller is raised by the audience. The audience is integrally responsible for the development of the storyteller. So often they will immediately become his fan or supporter. And in years to come, they will say, we remember your first show. You weren't very good then. Whoa, have you not come a long way? Amazing. That's part of the joy of being a part of a Rakugo audience. Jinbei-san, this is fascinating. What else do Rakugo storytellers do under apprenticeship? Well, when the apprentice is not with the master, they go to the Rakugo theater called the Yosei. And there they have a lot of work to do in the dressing room. They have to greet the masters when they come in, help them put on their kimonos, and then help fold the kimonos when the masters are finished their stories, bring the masters tea. They're also responsible for playing instruments. Instruments? Instruments. Each and every storyteller has their own entrance music. It's called a debayashi, or the music that brings them onto the stage. The Rakugo storytellers under apprenticeship have to memorize every master's debayashi and play it on the taiko drums, or on the flute, or maybe some other percussion instruments. Only the shamisen player is not a Rakugo storyteller, but a specific professional musician. Wow. But if the Rakugo storytellers are always with their master or at the theater serving the other masters, how do they make money? How do they pay the rent? Well, this is case by case and it depends on the master, but usually the master is traditionally responsible for paying the rent and food and board of each and every apprentice he takes on. Wow, so it really is very much like a family atmosphere, isn't it? The master has great responsibility too. But how do the apprentices learn stories then? Are there scripts? Rakugo is an oral tradition. It is said that traditionally the master would perform each and every story that he wanted to teach in front of the apprentices 3 times. The 4th time, the apprentices would have to repeat the story back to him. You have to do the story exactly as the master does it. Once the master says okay, that the story, the way the apprentice is performing it is acceptable, then that story becomes the property of the apprentice himself, and he or she are free to change the story in their own way if they want. But most people don't change it very much. Jinbei-san, that reminds me of jazz music, where the jazz musician learns standards and that becomes their own. That is a very good analogy, Bobby-kun. Music to my ears. I must take note of that. Your knowledge is scaling new heights. I think Rakugo just might be your forte. Are you going to stop me or should I continue? Very high-level jokes. Wow, Jinbei-san, there's a lot more to Rakugo than I expected. 3-year apprenticeship. I didn't see that one coming. It reminds me of another Japanese saying that I really like. 3 years upon a rock. Yes, Bobby-kun. Ishi no ue ni mo 3 nen. 3 years upon a rock. Anything can be achieved with patience and perseverance. Just like in the case of the Rakugo 3-year apprenticeship. I think you are right after all, Jinbei-san, that anybody that becomes a Rakugoka, a Rakugo storyteller, must be a little bit of a genius. Well, Bobby-kun, that is where we wholeheartedly agree.